It is a quiet evening in September, and you are settled in your chair with the lamp on, and something moves at the very edge of your eye. You turn your head, and there it is, a big one, dark, long-legged, moving along the wall near the ceiling, or worse, bolting across the open floor when you flip the light on, fast and low and gone under the couch before you are even out of your chair. And your skin crawls, the way it always does. And it is not just the one, it has been all week. One in the bathtub in the morning, sitting in the bottom where it cannot climb out. One that comes down on a thread right in front of your face in the doorway. A web strung across the corner of the porch that was not there yesterday. And another across the shed door. And you find yourself thinking, where in the world are they all suddenly coming from? All at once, every September like clockwork. And you go to the cupboard and you reach for the can of spray. Now stop, friend, right there before you spray a thing, because nearly everything you believe about this is wrong, and once you have the truth of it, you will never fight them the old losing way again. You think they came in from the cold. You think that as the nights turn, the spiders outside get chilly and creep into your warm house for shelter the way you would. It is the most natural thing in the world to believe, and it is a myth, top to bottom. A spider is a cold-blooded creature, and it carries its own antifreeze in its body, and the cold does not trouble it, and your furnace does not tempt it. It is not cold, and it is not looking for your heat. So why then are they suddenly everywhere in September? There are two reasons, and neither one is the reason you think. And both of them together are the whole secret of keeping them out without a drop of poison. The first reason is the one that will surprise you most. Most of those spiders did not come in from anywhere. They were already living in your house, all of them, all year, hidden away in the corners and the closets and the basement and the empty spaces inside your walls, quiet and out of sight since spring. The common house spider is a different creature from the ones out in your garden, and it lives its whole life indoors. And the plain truth the scientists will tell you is that fewer than 1 in 20 of the spiders you ever see inside has ever once been outside. So what changed in September? It is their mating season. The males come out of hiding and go wandering all over the house looking for a female. And that is the thing you are seeing, the males on the move, out in the open at last. They did not arrive, they came out. They were with you the whole time. And the second reason, the one that ends this whole battle, is the reason any spider is ever in your house at all. And I am going to build the whole method on it, so hold on to it. And here is the best news of the evening. You do not need that can of spray, and you truly should not use it. And I am going to show you the old way that keeps them out with no poison at all, that costs almost nothing, and that works because it deals with the real reason they are there, instead of just killing the one unlucky spider you happen to see. Not one part of this is difficult. It costs almost nothing, most of it from a hardware store or your own broom closet. Any man or woman watching can do the whole of it in an afternoon. I am Pastor Eli. I have kept a country parish and a country house for the better part of 40 years, in old houses full of the dark corners a spider loves, and there was never a can of spider spray in any of them, because the old folks I learned from knew the 2 or 3 plain things that actually keep them out, and never once reached for the poison. Today I am going to give you the whole of it, 7 things. The real reason they are here, the doorways the few outsiders use, the one thing that actually draws them and holds them, the webs and the egg sacs, the light at your door that baits them in, the honest truth about the sprays and the peppermint and the old charms. And the last one, the 2 spiders you truly do need to watch for, and why you ought to let all the rest simply be. The truth comes first because everything else is built on it. One word before I go on. The old ways I keep, there is more of it than fits in any one video. I gathered the whole of it into a book, and you will find it at PastorEliWhitfield.com. It is called Waste Nothing, and it is a manual and not a sermon, with a real price on every material and an honest word on every limit. I will not mention it again. If you want it, you know where it is. Now let me give you the truth. The first thing is the truth about why they are really there, because it is the master key, and once you turn it, everything else opens. I have told you the fall crowd is mostly the males of the spiders already living with you, out wandering for a mate, and that is so. But here is the deeper truth, the one that ends it. Any spider, the ones that live in and the few that wander in from outside, stays in one place for one reason and one reason only: food. A spider is a hunter, and it goes where the hunting is good, and it stays where there is something to catch, and it leaves where there is not. So if your house has spiders, and I mean if it has enough of them to trouble you, then your house has something for them to eat. The spider is not your problem, friend. The spider is the sign of your problem. It is the symptom. You do not have a spider problem. You have a bug problem, and the spider is simply the one you can see, sitting in the middle of it, doing very well on all the little insects you never noticed. Turn that key, and the whole method turns with it. Take away the food, and the spider has no reason to stay and no reason to come, and it leaves on its own, and you never had to touch it. The second thing is the doorways for the few that do come in from outside, and it is the same afternoon's work that keeps out every other crawling thing. The outside spiders that wander in are not breaking down your door. They are slipping through gaps, and a spider needs only a small one. The gap under a door where the weather strip has worn away, so you fit a door sweep. The window screen with a tear or a corner pulled loose, so you patch it. The gaps where the pipes and the wires and the dryer vent pass through the wall, which are open doors, so you seal them with caulk or steel wool packed tight. The crack in the foundation, the gap under the garage door where the seal has curled. Take an afternoon with a flashlight and walk the outside of your house low and slow, and close every gap wider than a 1/4 inch, and you have shut the door on the wanderers the same as you would on a mouse. If you saw my video on the rats, it is the very same walk with the very same flashlight, and it does double duty. The third thing is the food, and this is the master move, the one that does what no spray ever could. I told you the spider is there for the hunting, so close the restaurant. What is a house spider eating? The flies, the fruit flies, the little moths, the gnats, the mosquitoes, the things that get into a house and that you half notice and half do not. Every one of those is a meal keeping a spider fed and settled in your corner. So you go after the food. Fix the drip and the damp that draws the insects. Seal the food in the pantry. Clean the drains where the little flies breed. If you saw my videos on the house flies and the fruit flies, that is the very work, and it pays you twice now, because every fly you deny is a spider you starve out. A house with nothing for a spider to eat is a house a spider leaves, quietly, on its own, and does not come back to because there is no reason to. You never had to kill a thing. You just closed the kitchen and they moved along. Let me pause here just a moment, friend. If these old ways are worth something to you, subscribe and walk along with me. I put out one of these every week and it costs you nothing. Now let me stop you right here because we are turning a corner. Everything so far shuts the door and closes the kitchen, and for most houses that is the bulk of the work done. What comes next is how you make the house itself unwelcoming, and then the honest truth about the sprays and the old wives' remedies you may have already tried, and the 2 spiders you truly do need to know by sight. So stay with me. The 4th thing is the webs and the egg sacs, and this is plain steady housekeeping that tells the spiders they are not welcome. Once a week, take a broom or the vacuum with the long attachment and knock down every web you can find. The corners of the ceiling, the window frames, behind and under the furniture, the light fixtures, the corners of the basement and the garage. A spider spends real effort building that web, and if it is torn down every week, that spot stops being worth its while and it moves on. And while you're at it, look for the egg sacs, the little round silk parcels tucked in the corners, because that is next year's whole crowd waiting to hatch, and one female leaves behind many of them in a season, each one holding dozens of young. Vacuum up the webs and the sacs together, and here is the one rule. Empty the vacuum out into a bag and take it outside, so nothing hatches in the canister in your closet. A house swept clean of webs week after week is a house that quietly tells every spider it is not welcome here, and they believe it. The 5th thing is the light at your door, and almost nobody thinks of it, and it is clever. That porch light you leave on and the bright window at night, they pull in the moths and the gnats and the little flying things from all over the yard, a whole cloud of them beating against the glass and the bulb. And where the insects gather, the spiders gather, right there at your door and your window to feast on them. And from there it is one short step inside. So your own porch light is baiting your own doorway. The fix is easy. Switch that bulb to a yellow bug light, the kind that draws far fewer insects. Or put the light on a motion sensor so it is dark most of the night. Or move the light away from the door and let it shine from a post out in the yard instead of right over the threshold. Pull the cloud of bugs away from the door, and the spiders that were feasting on them at your door have no reason to be there. The 6th thing is the honest truth about the sprays and the remedies, because I know some of you have already spent money here and you deserve straight talk. First, the sprays, and this is the no spray I promised you in the very title. The chemical spider spray kills the one spider it lands on and does nothing at all to stop the next one. And in trade, you have put a poison mist through the rooms where your family lives and your grandchildren crawl, all to kill a creature that is mostly harmless and, as I'm about to tell you, mostly helping you. It is the wrong trade. Put the can down. Then the peppermint oil, which the internet is full of just now. I will be honest with you as always. The evidence for it is thin and it is mixed. It may mildly bother a spider here and there, and it smells pleasant enough in a room, but it will not clear a house of them, and it needs doing over and over forever. And anyone promising you a few drops of oil solves this is selling you the pretty story, not the truth. It is a maybe, not a method. And the old charm of the conkers, the horse chestnuts set on the windowsill to keep spiders off, that folks have sworn by for generations. I will not be unkind to a tradition, but there is no truth in it that anyone has ever been able to find. It is a charm, like the bag of water hung in the doorway for flies, harmless and pleasant and doing nothing. Do not trust your house to a nut on the sill. Trust it to the sealed door and the closed kitchen, which actually work. And now the 7th, the one almost nobody knows, and it is the one I most want you to carry home because it will change how you see the whole thing. The ordinary house spider is not your enemy. It is working for you. Every single night, for free, asking nothing, that spider in the high corner is catching and eating the very flies and mosquitoes and gnats and even the roaches that you do not want in your home. It is quiet, unpaid pest control, the same as the barn owl is to the farmer, if you saw my video on the rats and remember the owl that worked his field for nothing. So the old wisdom was never to hunt down and kill every spider in the house. It was to keep them out of the rooms where you live and let the rest do their quiet good work in the corners and the cellar and the garage where they belong. Kill them all and you have fired your best unpaid worker and you will have more flies for it. But, and here is the honest and important word, there are two in this country you do not want, and you ought to know them by sight. The black widow, glossy black, with a red mark shaped like an hourglass on her underside, and the brown recluse, in the parts of the country where it lives, a plain brown spider with a mark like a little fiddle on its back. Both of them are shy and neither one wants anything to do with you, but their bite is a serious matter and they hide in the same kind of place, the dark, undisturbed spots, the wood pile, the back of the shed, a box left sitting in the basement, and, hear me on this, inside shoes and boots and gloves left out in the garage or the shed. So here is the one habit worth keeping for the rest of your life. Do not reach your bare hand blindly into a dark, undisturbed corner or box or wood pile, and shake out your boots and your gloves and your work shoes before you put them on, every time, if they have been sitting in the garage or the shed. Know those two, give them a wide and respectful berth, and let all the harmless many go on about their work in peace. Now let me take a moment, because here is where it all comes together. Look at what we have walked through. The truth that they did not come in from the cold, that most were living with you all year and the males are simply out looking for a mate, and that any spider stays for one reason only, the food. The doorways, sealed with a sweep and a bit of caulk against the few that wander in. The food itself, the flies and gnats you starve them of by closing the kitchen, which is the master move that makes them leave on their own. The webs and the egg sacs, swept down every week so no corner is worth their while. The porch light that baits your own door, switched to a bug bulb or moved out to the yard. The honest word that the spray is the wrong trade, the peppermint a maybe and not a method, and the conker on the sill a charm that does nothing. And the last, that the harmless house spider is your unpaid worker, to be kept out of your rooms but let be in its corners, while you learn the two, the widow and the recluse, well enough to give them a wide berth and shake out your boots. Almost nothing spent, an afternoon with a flashlight and a broom, and a house that keeps itself clear the honest way. And now the small honest word about how a thing this plain got forgotten, and I do not say it to rile you up. There is no money in a door sweep and a broom and the knowing that a spider is a sign of a fly problem, but there is a great deal of money in a can of spray you buy every fall, and in a man with a truck who will come and treat your baseboards every quarter for a fee, and who has no reason in the world to sit you down and explain that the spider in your corner is eating the flies for free, and that the real trouble is a gap under your door. So the plain old knowing went quiet, and the can came in, and folks were taught to fear and poison the very creature that was working for them, and to spray their own homes every autumn for a thing a broom and a door sweep would have settled for good. The good book has a curious and lovely word about this very creature. In the Proverbs, among a handful of small things that it calls little upon the earth, but exceeding wise, it names the spider, and it says of her, "The spider taketh hold with her hands, and is in kings' palaces." Think on that. Of all the small, despised creatures, the spider is the one the wise old book says dwells even in the palaces of kings, taking hold with her own two hands, industrious and skillful, and at home in the finest house in the land. There is a gentle rebuke in that to all our shuddering. The small creature we sweep at in fear is called, by the oldest wisdom we have, exceeding wise, a patient and skillful worker that has earned its place even among the great. It is not a lesson in loving what frightens us. It is a lesson in not despising the small and humble worker, in seeing that even the least thing in the corner has its place and its work and its quiet worth in the order of things. Keep it out of your parlor if you must, but do not despise it, for it is wiser and more useful than you knew. So here is what I want you to do this week. Take an afternoon and walk the outside of your house with a flashlight, and seal every gap wider than a 1/4 inch, and fit a sweep under the doors. Then go inside and knock down every web with the broom, and vacuum up the egg sacs and empty it outside. Switch your porch bulb to a yellow bug light, and then do the thing that truly ends it. Go and find the little bug problem that is feeding them, the flies and the gnats and the drains, and close that kitchen. And from this day on, shake out your boots and gloves in the garage before you put them on. Do that, and come next September, when the males go wandering, they will find a sealed, swept, hungry house with nothing in it for them, and they will move along. Now tell me in the comments below, what is the spider you keep seeing this year? And what part of the country are you writing from? Because which spiders you have depends a great deal on where you live, and I would like to know. And did your mother or your grandmother have a way of keeping them out? An old habit? A thing she did every fall that nobody wrote down? Tell me what it was. I read every single one. Next time, since we have been sealing up the gaps in the house against the small crawling things, and the cold is coming on now, I am going to show you the old way to seal a drafty house for the winter and cut your heating bill besides, because the very same gaps that let the spider and the mouse in are the gaps that let your warm air out and the cold air in. And closing them does 3 good things at once. It is the natural next step after today, and I hope you will walk it with me. Until then, look well to what you have been given. Waste nothing, and God bless.